Hello, and welcome to Sideways. When I come out in the morning with the dogs, I spend probably the great proportion of my time, just as I am now, standing around whilst they sniff in the bushes or eat grass or hang around a tree, presumably smelling something that I have no knowledge of. And of course what they're doing is apart from being dogs, they're indulging their sense of curiosity. My sister used to call it reading their wee mails, which I always rather liked. And anyway, that's what we're talking about this week. Not reading wee mails, but being curious. And the importance of it, but also the things that we might do, sometimes unwittingly, to prevent ourselves from being curious and therefore stunting our own opportunities for learning and growth. If that weren't enough, we're also talking about famous people carved out of vegetables, and a man brought under arrest has a rather unpleasant surprise for the police. So, if you're curious about what we talked about, give it a listen. Curiosity.
Good evening.
Good evening. On a beach this week, then?
Yeah, I thought I'd change from the Aurora Borealis to a bit of a tropical scene.
Is that Dungeness?
It looks a bit like it. You'll be quite within your rights to think that it's such a place. I don't know where it is, but it's just homage to the nice weather we've been having recently. I know you love the hot weather.
I hate it, absolutely hate it.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
It was really nice when I woke up on Sunday morning and I thought, someone's wheeling a trolley past the house, and I realised it was heavy rain. It was excellent.
You enjoyed that? You prefer walking the dogs in the heavy rain than you do on a...
Well, I don't know. I didn't really want to necessarily walk in the heavy rain, but I was quite pleased after the filth of Saturday to welcome something slightly more temperate.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know that is your want. So yes, it's calmed down a little bit at the moment, but I thought we are in British summertime, so we have to embrace it.
Because that looks very much like British summertime behind you.
It does, with the palm trees.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it could be Torquay. There's a lot of palm trees, Torquay, isn't there?
There are. It's like the British Riviera.
I don't think I've ever been to Torquay.
Oh, I recommend it.
Do you? Do you remember I don't know if this is still the case, but when I was growing up, Torquay football team always used to play their games on Friday nights.
Was it Torquay? Yeah, maybe right.
Yeah, it was. And I've always wondered, and don't think I've ever found out why Torquay played on Friday nights.
No, I know, because some clubs do that when they were back in the semi-pro days, when a lot of their players were working in the local factories and that sort of thing, and
right.
So they changed days, and perhaps it's because of tourism or not. I don't know.
I'm going to find out. After we've finished, I'm going to make a point of finding out.
And I think you should. You should be a little bit curious about why that is.
Nice.
Yeah, nice, eh? Because that's what I was going to talk about. Yeah, about curiosity.
It killed the cat, didn't it?
It did. Yeah. Ben, was it Ben, the lead singer of Curiosity Killed the Cat?
Yeah, did they do that one? What did they do? I can't remember.
Down to Earth.
Oh, yeah. Get back down, straight back down, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was shocking, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was shocking, but they had a brief sort of brush with fame, didn't they?
Yeah, what I don't understand is, because, we've been in this position where we didn't have a brush with fame, but we've been in a position where we've been trying to think of names of bands. I just can't imagine sitting around with your bandmates and someone says, how about Curiosity Killed the Cat? And everyone going, yeah, great idea. What? How did that get through?
I suspect some sort of producer came up with that and told them that's what they had to be called.
Oh, do you think?
But, yeah, I think I probably bullied into it, because you're right, it's not something you'd choose.
Let's be honest, the Beatles is not a great name, is it?
Not a great name, but it's synonymous now with quality.
Yeah,
whatever starts out, it doesn't actually end up in the same sphere.
No, I was having this conversation with my daughter the other day, and she didn't believe there was a band called the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band.
Did she not?
No.
Okay. Okay.
No.
Yeah, I have got a story about them. It's for another time. But
Yeah.
Oh,
Because it's getting late now.
it is getting late, isn't it? We're on a Tuesday evening.
Yeah. I haven't had my dinner yet either.
No, nor me.
And I've got to fry some potatoes.
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was this curiosity that we briefly mentioned there. Now, curiosity is something I often look for in participants that attend the groups that I'm running.
Yes, I can understand that.
Yeah, it's not just about paying attention to what I'm saying, although obviously I'm very engaging, as you'd imagine. But it's about curiosity shown by the individuals towards other people's opinions and ideas.
Oh, an openness of mind, as it were.
It is, yeah, because I think people that show a good level of curiosity tend to get more out of the groups and subsequently increase their chances of achieving long-term sobriety. So it is a relevant topic. And so I want to look at what stifles this curiosity, why everyone doesn't have it, and how to potentially increase it as well. So that's the thrust of what I want to talk about.
Okay.
Before we start, though,
Yeah.
there's a couple of things that I found quite amusing. The one, there was a vegetable sculpture event at the Lambeth Country Show this week. Did you see anything about that?
I didn't know.
No, I think the centrepiece was really where people would carve famous celebrities out of vegetables, basically.
Yeah.
So apparently there was a very good Donald Trump carved from a butternut squash.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. There's one I quite liked because there was a Dolly Parton carved from a cauliflower. And
Well, I can say that for her hair.
Yeah, but it was called Collie Parton. Which
that's clever,
isn't
isn't
it?
Yeah.
But it had a subtitle which was 9 to chive. So, I kept in the thing.
I think you've gone too far there, to be honest.
It wasn't me, mate. Don't have a...
No, but I think whoever did that, they've gilded the lily there. I think
so.
Leave it with Collie Parton. That's funny.
That's good enough, isn't it?
Yeah, but you've tried to be a bit too, over the top there, a bit too clever.
A bit too clever for their own good, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is also another one, Mo Seller.
Yeah.
He was just represented by various items arranged, and they called it Mo Salad.
Yeah, I could see that one coming. You telegraphed that one, didn't they? That was a... Yeah.
It was.
I think Collie Parton's my favourite.
Collie Parton. So, yeah, that's what we've already got there, but Mo Salad. But they also had they had some potatoes carved in the form, or 3 potatoes carved to represent the band Kneecap. Now, have you come across Kneecap?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I sort of stumbled across them quite recently, which they're sort of quite an aggressive sort of rap band, really, aren't they, from Northern Ireland? Get involved in a lot of sort of political stuff that we don't want to go into. But
I'm wondering though about potatoes. Isn't that? It's kind of almost racist.
That's what struck my mind. That's what crossed my mind.
Yeah, it'd be like saying, "Well, this is Giscard d'Estaing. I've made him out of garlic."
Exactly. There's something a little bit distasteful about it, isn't there?
Yeah. If you were carved in a vegetable, what vegetable would you like to be carved in?
Me? If I was doing you, I'd carve you out a turnip, I think. That'd suit you down to the ground. I don't know. Something more... I'd do a pumpkin's all right, isn't that?
Pumpkin, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that'd be all right. Well, you need something smooth, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
For your head.
For me,
I mean,
no
good trying to make you out of a cauliflower.
You're funny, aren't you? Gonna pop at me on air?
Actually, think about this.
Yeah.
I changed a while ago. I took loads of stuff off of my Facebook page because I didn't, I'm getting a bit fed up with Facebook.
Yeah.
So I cleared it all off and I changed my profile picture. And the profile picture I have on Facebook now is a carving I did of the Edvard Munch Scream.
Oh, yeah.
Out of butternut squash. I don't know if you've seen it.
I do remember that. I'm sure.
Even though I say so myself, bearing in mind my appalling artistic quality, I'm pretty proud of it, actually. I reckon it could go in an exhibition.
Good. Well, Lambeth Country Show next year, perhaps.
Yeah, I'm definitely up for that. Yeah, I'm gonna get in there and I'll probably win.
You get one of those little rosettes with first or second or whatever.
Yeah.
Depends, what the
first, obviously first. Best in show, I'd probably get.
Well, if Collie Parton turns up again, you never know, do you?
Collie Parton can't turn up 2 years running.
Probably not. No,
I'm trying to think of lots of I'm trying to think of puns now. You've got that in my head.
Yeah, well, we should have perhaps practiced this before.
Well, what about the old director of the Bond films, Cubby Broccoli?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to try and get my head away from that now.
We can do an addendum to this, perhaps, with some of those on. I'll come back to it next week after, whatever.
It could be a new feature, couldn't it?
Vegetable puns. Oh, yeah, yes, we could try that.
Yeah, I'm going to think of a vegetable pun for next week. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
But there's the second thing that quite made me laugh, which was an article that you sent me, actually, which was about a man who was ordered... You know what's coming, don't you?
Yeah, I do, yeah. They didn't.
I'll read the headline. Man is ordered to carry out 75 hours, which is a lot, 75 hours of unpaid work, after he deliberately farted at police during a strip search and asks them, how do you like that? do you reckon it was his flippant remark that got him the 75 hours, or was it...
I wouldn't be surprised. They really tickled me because, and don't take this, don't take this the wrong way, sort of thing I can imagine you saying.
What, to a copper?
Well, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it really made me chuckle, that.
It was a good headline, and
I know how you like a headline.
I do. I love a headline, but I'm not sure that 75 hours, whether that is a little bit over the top. Does that?
No, I think that's perfectly all right.
Do you? Okay.
You can't be farting in front of the law, and then compounding it by saying, "How do you like that?" I mean, that shows a terrible disrespect for law and order, for social norms.
If he'd followed through, left a little curly whirly on the copper's leg.
What he should have done is asked to go to the lavatory and then gently parted his cheeks.
Yeah, just gently huff it out. But he's obviously the poor lad. I feel 75 is too much. I don't care what.
No, I think that's fair enough. I think you've got to come down hard on these random farters.
Okay, well, we're going to move on because curiosity is a good thing to talk about. Basically, curiosity is about what others think, isn't it? And feel or know. It's known as one of the most powerful tools we have for increasing connection and learning and growth. And connection is such an important aspect of recovery. It really is. Yeah. Because when we truly wonder about someone else's inner world, because everyone's got a backstory, haven't they? Everyone's got baggage. We open the door to deeper understanding and better collaboration and stronger relationships. What we do in the rehab I work at, we get everyone to do their life story and then present it to the whole of the the house. So all residents get to hear it. And so we almost feed other people's curiosity on this. We jumpstart their curiosity, but it does give them an enormous sense of empathy after that and understanding of the person.
Do you think so? When you're asking people to do that, I mean, I'm wondering. I suppose when someone's doing that, they haven't heard other people's stories, have they? Potentially. They have.
Yeah, I mean, after you've been there several weeks, you'd have heard the life stories of those people that have come in after you. Yeah,
after you. Because what I was wondering was whether if you'd been exposed to some harrowing stories, you might be thinking, "Crikey, mine's not very impressive." Very impressive.
We do get that. It's like the
where people downplay their own difficulty.
They can do it, or they say, "I don't know if it's my story's worth listening to."
Right. Exactly.
It's like it ends up being the world's worst game of top trumps. They just outdo the last person.
But actually, if someone says, "I don't know if my story is worth listening to," then that's a point at which curiosity is really helpful, isn't it? Because you're kind of relying on other people's curiosity to show you that actually there is a lot of merit and interest in your story.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't be curious about your life story, but
I've got nothing to tell. You're right. But I think that it's fascinating. In fact, I was listening to a life story today, and it was one of the most powerful ones I've ever heard. And I think everyone gets sort of emotionally caught up in it, but the understanding of the person delivering it, just fantastic. But apparently there's sort of common culprits that stifle curiosity, stops us being curious. There's sort of six of them. I just wanted to go through.
You're going to go through them, aren't you?
Yeah, I am, because I've got them on my notes, and so that's the deal.
And that's the way it works, isn't it?
The way we roll. We've done it for a long time now.
If you want to know, if you're curious about how this works, that's how it works.
It is.
Yeah.
And the first one is normally when you get emotionally hijacked. Okay, so it's quite hard to stay curious when your nervous system is on high alert. So if you feel hurt or judged or under threat, curiosity doesn't just fade; it tends to disappear altogether. It gets hijacked, and in our brains we sort of shift from learning about what's going on to defending.
Yeah.
We start sort of blaming or shutting down or bracing yourself for a bit of a dust up. You know what I mean? So you stop becoming curious at that point.
Or farting in front of the police.
That would stop that. I think that the coppers he'd be on a high alert at that point, wouldn't he? What?
Yeah, no, I definitely recognise that. Yeah, if you feel under threat or judged or in some way emotionally uncomfortable, it does make it much more difficult because to be curious, you need to kind of feel as if you're standing on a reasonably solid base, don't you?
Yeah, you do. You do, and I think that it helps it the shift can be quite fast. You can go from 0 to 100 quite quickly, especially if threat come along, and it's at that point the curiosity stops altogether, and we start reacting. But what we need to do really there is to use your emotions as a cue to come back to curiosity. And that's quite difficult to do sometimes, but when you feel yourself getting triggered, because you can suffer from emotional overwhelm at that point, can't you? Mm-hmm. You've really got to take a little bit of time out and question and say, no, what you question yourself. I wonder what's really going on here.
Or someone else can question you, particularly if you're in that sort of peer support environment. I mean, I'm just thinking about how curiosity is very useful in that respect in therapy, because it can be very valuable for you to have the courage to either question your own emotions or question the other person's emotions. Yes. So you might say, hang on, I'm just putting my do not disturb thing on because it just came on. You might say, I noticed when you said that, I'm now feeling this and I'm wondering what that's about. It's like, what you're doing then is, instead of responding to the emotion by turning away from it and trying to distract from it, you're stepping into it and saying, this is uncomfortable, but I don't know what's going on here, and I want to kind of understand it a bit better, which I think is an area where curiosity is really helpful.
You're absolutely right. And in therapy, that must be quite a useful tool. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I am a useful tool in therapy.
You might have to edit that bit, but you might not have time to edit it out, so you may have to leave it in. So emotional hijacking is the first point that came up, and the second point, which is probably something we can all relate to, is this pressure that society or perhaps corporate pressure can to put on you for speed and efficiency. So
okay, right.
You know what I mean?
So you don't have time to be curious.
If speed's a priority, then curiosity can feel like a luxury you don't have time for.
Have you ever been in those? You must have been. You're in a situation, training course or something.
Yeah.
And there's somebody who keeps asking questions, and you're thinking, I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
Actually, what you're saying is then they're just, I know sometimes people do it. I'm sure sometimes people do it just to, just for a bit of attention.
But
actually, that is what you're talking about, isn't it? It's people sort of straying away from sometimes what is socially expected, which is let's get through this, and they're exercising their right to be curious. Yeah.
And we could all learn from that, because those people can come across as incredibly annoying.
I'm going to be one of those people in future.
I'm sure you have been in the past. Don't worry about that. But I suppose it depends on how mundane the questions are that are being asked, or if how annoying it is if people ask questions that have already been quite clearly answered, quite clearly dealt with. That can be annoying. But you're right. When there is a pressure for speed or efficiency, you get a deadline at work, for example, it can be quite tough, isn't it? You perhaps skim over some of the agenda potentially that you should be a bit more curious about, and go straight to what gets you to the finishing line.
Yeah, so I'm going to use a word that I can't stand in this kind of environment.
Yeah,
because what we're really identifying here is the importance of remembering that the journey is more important than the destination.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because life is made up mostly of journeying between points rather than arriving. And your curiosity is one of the things that not only enables you to get to a better destination, but it also enables you to enjoy that kind of liminal space between point A and B.
I agree. And again, it's similar sort of advice as we were talking about with emotional hijacking. You need to just take a little step back, take a few seconds to ask, what don't I know here? Or, what's a question no one else has asked? Or, just create an environment for yourself where you can start to ask a bit more and learn a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because even those sort of brief moments of reflection can bring you a wealth of information. So it is important. Now, sticking with that, we'll just stick with that scenario being in a training centre, right? Because we both relate to that to a large extent. The third point third thing that can stifle curiosity is something they call groupthink.
Yeah.
All right, so that's which is, and you've probably been in that situation. I know you can be quite contrary, so perhaps you haven't. But
me,
of all people,
that's an outrageous slur.
It's slanderous in many ways, isn't it? But when everyone else seems to be aligned in their way of thinking, and when that happens, you can potentially stop asking questions. You think, oh well, that's done. Everyone else seems to. Everyone's defaulted to a consensus, but you might feel that you haven't explored every angle, but because going along feels safer, you tend to just go with it. And I suppose again, if you're tired towards the end of the seminar, you probably think, I'll let that one go.
Well, you definitely do it in that situation, but actually, there's a lot of research, and I'm thinking of some specific studies. I can't remember the details of them now, but I'll have to go and dig them out. Where if you put in a group of people and you're asked a question, the answer to which you are very clear about, but everybody else gives a different answer, they've been kind of set up to answer a question incorrectly. People, generally speaking, will go with the crowd. They don't want to kind of stand apart from, even when it's, absolutely plain as a nose on your face what the answer is and everyone else is giving a contrary answer. So I think what you're talking about there is the difficulty that people have standing alone and isolating themselves, and so groupthink is incredibly powerful, and sure stifles curiosity, because really you want an environment, don't you, where everybody is kind of questioning stuff rather than just accepting, that's the way it is.
You'd like to think so. I think that desire for harmony that can sort of suppress curiosity, kind of, or dissent. And especially if you may have been in a situation where divergent views are not actively encouraged. It's almost as if you've got to go along with what you're being told. You get to see.
Well, I mean, I certainly remember that in the corporate world.
Not now. Sure. Yeah.
But I think much less so. Yeah, much less so now. And actually, I suppose I suppose you do as well. But I kind of work in an environment now where dissent is encouraged. I've just finished some training that I've been doing for a year. And, quite often it would come up in conversation or when we were having discussions about stuff that, challenging received wisdom was important, because otherwise you don't really make any progress, do you? You can't kind of move forward with your thinking unless there is a willingness to challenge the way that people think about stuff. So
absolutely right.
Yeah. So I can see that definitely does stifle creativity and curiosity.
Yeah. Which leads on quite nicely onto the next one, which is the fourth point, the fourth thing that can potentially kill our curiosity. I'm having trouble saying curiosity. I don't know.
Well, don't say it. Say something else. Say Collie Parton.
That'd work, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to struggle not to say that now. Now you've implanted that.
Now you've told yourself that you're struggling to say curiosity. It's going to become increasingly difficult.
Yeah, I'm just going to go along with you just to stop any potential dissent.
My bet is that as you continue to say curiosity, we'll see you tripping over it quite a lot for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Not that I'm trying to get into your head or anything.
Well, I think you are, but I'll make a conscious effort. Well, I'm going to slow down.
Okay.
Be curious about what potential answer is going to be. Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, point number 4.
Yep.
The illusion of knowing. So, which is, it can be quite easily explained as if as soon as you land on a story, if you're trying to consider why someone behaved in a certain manner or what they might be thinking at that point, you tend to stop questioning.
Yeah, definitely.
Psychologists call this the illusion of adequate information. The false sense that we know enough to understand the situation, even when missing it out on key factors or perspectives.
Yes. This is where the importance of beginner's mind comes in, isn't it? So, for instance, if you're again, relating it to therapy, one could be excused, I suppose, for seeing the 2000th client that's come in saying, I struggle with anxiety. Yeah. Treating them, thinking, oh, well, I know the territory here, I know exactly what's going to happen. But they're so important not to do that because everybody's story is completely unique. And although the shape of it might be similar, it's your curiosity, I think, that gives you the opportunity to really support someone in, whatever way that particular problem manifests.
I agree. And you're right. I think you're sort of, you've got to be a little bit suspicious, haven't you, of your own certainty.
Definitely.
And ask yourself, am I only seeing part of the story here? Or is there anything I haven't considered? And those sort of questions can crack the door open back towards your curiosity.
Yeah, I think sometimes it requires you to even resist what might seem to be a very alluring shortcut.
Yeah.
So, for example, one of the bits of work I do, about this, is that I write answers to questions that people send.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, there's much less information you've got about someone then, because sometimes it's just a couple of lines. And so, it's a great temptation if someone says, "Oh, I struggle with imposter syndrome" or whatever it is, to cut and paste something you've done previously.
Yeah.
I've always made a rule never to do that for this exact reason, because as soon as I've done that, it's like I'm buying into this idea that this is very standard. I might as well be Google at that point.
Yeah.
And so the curiosity aspect of that is really about trying to read between the lines and make assumptions about what hasn't been said. And, that's the same in a conversation, isn't it? If you think someone says something, you think, well, hang on, am I understanding this correctly? When you say that, do you mean this, or is there something else? And that takes a bit of effort to do that, but it's certainly more productive and enjoyable, I think, to do that.
It probably is, but you must be sort of tempted to think, I don't know, I'll just use a bit of chatbot or AI or something to get this one sorted out.
I know that some people are, but I can say this with hand on heart, I never have been.
No.
Because that's, A, it would be boring.
Yeah.
And B, I think it just does the whole kind of process a complete disservice.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm going to go on to number 5 out of the 6 pointers.
Oh, okay. You're not going to go on to number 6 before number 5? 6
killers. No, I'm going to keep it linear, if you don't mind.
No, that's fine. Yeah, you carry on.
Now, curiosity. I said that okay there.
You did, yeah.
I'm concentrating.
You said it quite slowly, didn't you?
I did. Curiosity. Yeah. Curiosity takes mental space.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can...
That's what I just said.
So you can have distraction. You can have mental overload. So for many of us, especially when stuff's going on all the time, we can have so much going on in our head at one time, trying to multitask, that you can get this sort of overload feeling, and that will when your space is in short supply, then you will tend to cut corners, and it will stop you being curious again. You'll go for the easy answer. You will go for something that's going to make sure that you get to the point that you want to without too much aggro. Does that make sense?
Or when time is short.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was just looking at another bit of research when I was doing this about mental overload and about how it reduces your ability to listen and to process new information and stop and staying open to alternative viewpoints. So, in this world full of sort of notifications coming up on your phone or on your Zoom, as you had earlier on there, didn't you? And again, deadlines and demands our attention. It's quite tricky. You do get this overload, don't it? And you get this overwhelm, and it stops us being curious. So again, we've got to take a little bit of, we've got to make room for sort of quietening the noise, and create small amounts of pause before any conversation takes place. Give yourself time to think.
Yeah, I think, I suppose related to that point is you're talking about notifications and stuff like that. We're so stimulated these days.
Yeah.
That one of the things we lose is the space to be curious.
Yeah.
If you've got, there's no end of articles that you can read or things you can watch or whatever it is. In order for that kind of information to percolate and to give it an opportunity to rest with you long enough for you to reflect in a way that enables you to think about what you don't know about it, what you might like to know, or, you've got to be conscious of how much of that you're taking in. And I think that's one of the things that's very difficult for people. It's like, it's constant. I'm just absorbing stuff all the time. And so I'm just a sponge and I'm not really ever interacting with it, You're
right. And it sort of feeds on from what we were talking about last week, wasn't it? About the amount of information we take on and how much we retain.
Yeah, I can't remember what we were talking about last week.
No, well, it was about how quickly we forget things.
All right.
Yes,
it was.
But you've forgotten that already.
Yeah, I've forgotten that.
Perfect illustration.
Yeah, well, don't you forget 80% of it in 12 minutes or something?
Well, I've still got my notes here, but it was, I think it was 50% in an hour, something like that, wasn't it? And I know it's 90% within a week. So,
well, there you go. I've done quite well then, because it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, and you've done
So,
congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, no problem. We're going to go on to number 6. You were the last one.
Yeah.
This is one that probably sits quite neatly with you as a therapist. Is about internalised norms that tell you not to ask, which can be rooted in childhood.
Yeah.
When, the old phrase, children should be seen and not heard.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's that sort of internal dialogue which becomes the norm as you grow up. And you get to that point where you feel constantly shut down, or you're would I say happy with being shut down? Perhaps you are, because it's been so normalised, that's your default.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that sometimes, and again, you remember from the school days, you didn't really ever answer the master back. You didn't really ask too many questions. It could come across as disrespectful.
Well, yeah, and this I suppose comes back to something we were talking about earlier, doesn't it? Which is consciousness of the sort of space that you're creating in which people can be curious. Because part of what is required for people to be curious is for them to feel safe enough to do so.
Yeah.
And so if you think you're going to be ridiculed, or everyone's going to laugh, or everyone's going to tuck because they want to get home, or the master's going to throw a board rubber at you, then you're probably going to keep your mouth shut, aren't you?
Yeah, there are outside factors to consider. Yeah, that's for sure.
So I think, there's some of it can be about who you are and how you were brought up, but there's also a kind of responsibility. If you want to create an environment where people will be curious, then there are certain things you can do to make sure that people know that's what you want, I think.
Yeah, and the don't ask situation. I think it's sort of, it reminded me of more sort of Victorian values, really, rather than perhaps where we are today, where we do much more encourage open discussion and to be curious about what's going on.
Well, I think when people don't encourage open discussion, it's probably because they don't feel secure enough to do so.
Yeah, you're right.
If you say to someone, if you kind of create an environment where it's pretty plain you don't want people to ask questions, then that says something about your level of comfort with yourself and whatever it is that's being talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, these 6 killers we've been talking about, they don't just silence questions; they block understanding, which I think is a big no-no. Really, our personal growth and our well-being gets severely hampered at that stage.
Yeah.
But I think we don't grow as a person, and we miss out on this insight into other people, which does lead on to my gratitude list later on. I'm obviously not going on to it now, but
you could have led on to it now. It would have been a lovely segue, wouldn't it?
It would have been, but I just want you to remember that. So when I come back to it, you think, oh yeah, I see what it's getting at. He's a genius.
Okay. But I just thought I'd ask because I was curious as to why you didn't use it as a segue.
You were, and that's we both learned from this, haven't we?
We have, yeah, which is good, isn't it?
We've grown as people in the last half an hour, or whatever, since we've been starting this episode. So it's just about, we're looking at these 6. So it's just about spotting them really, and see what's getting in the way, so you can clear the path and jumpstart your curiosity. But it all seems to boil down to this: taking a bit of space, taking a bit of time out before you make too many decisions. Make sure that you are in control of the salient factors.
Yeah, and take the risk. Be courageous.
That's it. That's a great point as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially if you have been brought up not to ask too many questions.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to know, why did you make Dolly Parton out of a cauliflower rather than broccoli? Yeah, you can ask.
You can ask.
And the answer would probably be because she's got blonde hair, not green hair.
It could be. I just thought that Collie and Dolly, they sound so they trip off the tongue. So I suspect.
Yeah, I suppose that's right.
Collie would have been that would have been the answer I would have expected. But yeah, I should show more curiosity and not think that I had.
You made an assumption, didn't you?
I had the illusion of knowing, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. You did. Yeah, very dangerous.
It is. So that's about it, really, mate. For that, I think that wraps it up reasonably tidily.
Yeah, that's fine. Very good. Very good. So I'm curious as to what's happening next.
You are curious. Well, I'll tell you. It's a conundrum feature.
Okay, well, great. I'm going to give you this one. I think we may have kind of, we certainly covered this in our conversations in the past, but I don't think we've covered this particular one on this conundrum, and it is very relevant to this, to the topic of this entire podcast. So here it is. A friend who doesn't know you're in recovery gifts you an expensive bottle of alcohol. Do you re-gift it, sell it, or explain to them?
I think we have touched on this in the past.
Yeah, I don't think we've spoken about it in this context, have we?
No, we haven't. What I would normally do, it doesn't happen anymore because obviously.
No, but this is someone who's new in recovery.
Yeah, new in recovery. Obviously, if I was advising someone that was new in recovery, I would say...
Which you are, because I'm asking you this question.
Okay, so I'm being new in recovery, okay?
Well, no, I mean, if someone were new in recovery, what would you suggest they did?
Right, okay, that's what I was getting onto, yeah.
Thanks for questioning that, because I appreciated your curiosity.
I went round in a complete circle.
Someone's asking that. Someone's new in recovery, right? They've been gifted an expensive bottle of alcohol, and they just bloody want to know what they should do with it.
Yeah. In that respect, I would thoroughly encourage them to give it back and say it's not really right. It's quite dangerous if I take it on board.
Yeah, but okay, so that person who doesn't know that you're in recovery, you're kind of obliged then to tell them I'm in recovery. Yeah. I'm not. Yeah.
I think you've got to be brave at that point and say, do you know what this is? I mean, it comes up. It's even as it can come up with someone saying, "Hey mate, do you want a beer?"
Yeah.
And at that point, you say, "No, I'll have a soft drink or whatever." That's okay. But a gift is it's almost like a fait accompli. It's in your hand. It's potentially gift wrapped or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think at that point you'd have to be brave and say, "I'm not really comfortable with taking that. Thank you, but not for me."
Yeah. So you wouldn't put it on eBay then?
No, and I think as you
because you'd have the alcohol in your possession then, wouldn't you?
Well, you would, and we know that availability weaponizes temptation.
Yeah.
So and we talked about in the past when I've unwrapped presents I was going to give to my brother one Christmas.
You gave him socks that year, didn't you?
I gave him socks because I wanted to drink the beer. It's strong Belgian beer. That's where it takes you, my friends.
Very good. Okay, good. Excellent.
He loved the socks, so
that's clear. Yeah, probably not as much as he would have done the strong Belgian beer, but.
Or
was it Jupiler?
That was a bit weak, I think. In the I was going for the
triple Carmelite.
Triple Carmelite, the 10%ers. That's where I was heading. So, what would you in that situation? Well, you don't drink very much, do you?
No.
You would merely. It's no danger for you to take that gift on. You'd merely just re-gift it.
Yeah, I probably would. I'd probably give it to Tom or something. Yeah. So because there wouldn't be the element of jeopardy in it for me.
No.
I mean, that seems to make sense to me. If you're new in recovery, I mean, we've talked about this before, haven't we? If you're new in recovery, we've always advocated telling people, just tell people, just be open about it, because I think it does two things. I think it must, to some extent, strengthen your your resolve to stay in recovery because you're telling people about it, but also it starts to get rid of any shame you feel about it. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
okay. Just tell people it's all right. You know, you move surely then from a position of shame to a position of pride in yourself. You know, you can't do anything about what's gone, but you're making significant changes.
It is a particular drum that I bang a lot in groups about. Be proud of the journey you're on. It's the most difficult one you're going to embark upon, but it's going to be the most worthwhile. Tell people about it. But people are quite within their rights to make up their own mind who they tell and who they don't. Okay. So we dealt with that. So gratitude list.
Right. Is it me or you?
Did you want to go first, mate?
I've written a few actually this week.
I'm
just gonna choose one. I think I'm going to say AI because I've been making it's been a long time since I've made any sort of edits and changes to my website, right?
Okay.
Now, I'm reasonably tech savvy, but I was never able to kind of change stuff effectively on my website. I mean, I could change text and stuff, but more complicated stuff. But these days with ChatGPT and Claude and stuff, I just tell it what I need to do and it gives me the instructions of how to get in and even write code. It's fantastic. So not only does it save me the money that I would usually pay a web developer, sorry, I'm putting web developers out of business. No. I also get that sort of glow of achievement myself.
Yeah.
When I've made a change and I realise I haven't crashed my entire website. So
that must be a real sense of fulfilment.
Feels fantastic. Yeah. So there we are. So I'm quite grateful for. I know it gets a bad rap. A lot of the time. So I'm just going to say there are some very helpful and positive uses for it. That have made me feel quite grateful.
And we can leave it right there, can't we?
We should.
We should leave it right. It's fantastic.
And we're going to. More to the point.
I do, because I'm going to move on to my gratitude.
Good.
Well, the item that I put on my gratitude list this week. Now I've put down working with a man from Ghana. All right, and I'll expand upon that.
Right.
I worked at the weekend, as you know, because
like the clergy.
I was working. Yeah. And one of the chaps there was a guy. I've only met him very briefly.
Yeah.
But he was he was working. There's just the three of us working, and he was a fascinating guy. And I was very curious. I was highly curious about his culture because he was coming up with all sorts of things that were difficult to believe, but incredible. So I was grateful for him expanding my mind in various areas and giving me information that I would have had no chance of obtaining unless it was straight from the horse's mouth. So
very good.
So I was grateful for that.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah. So I was grateful for the curiosity that he engendered in me. Right.
So you had a more interesting conversation with a man from Ghana than you would have done with me doing podcasts on Sunday morning. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that, but you're reading between the lines. And I can't deny it.
Well, I'm just being curious.
Oh, you were being curious. We opened up the conversation.
I was being passive-aggressively curious.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. But we did end up talking about Ghanaian footballers.
Well, obviously you would, wouldn't you? Because as we've said before, music and football are universal languages.
They are universal.
Unless you don't like either.
No, but I'd forgotten, right? Someone playing for my own team, West Ham.
Yeah.
Bo Kudus. He's a Ghanaian. And I'd forgotten he's Ghanaian. And so it was, Michael Essien, he even mentioned him. You remember?
Very good. Are we going to go through a list of
no, we're not.
Ghanaian footballers now?
No, we're not. I'm going to leave it right there. But
well, good.
It was a fascinating conversation. So
I'm pleased for you.
Thank you.
Because I'm a bit worried that you're joining the clergy. You're working so often on a bloody Sunday.
Yeah. Well, you shouldn't do, should you? The Bible tells you not to work on a Sunday.
Well, I mean, you're patently completely ignoring that advice.
I'm going straight to hell, definitely.
Yeah.
Even though I'm helping
best
people.
Place for you, as far as I'm concerned. Right, come on, let's get on with the quiz because I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, of course. And it looks like you're getting a bit edgy, to be honest, aren't you?
Yeah, well, it's 7 o'clock now. I mean, getting near bedtime. I'm going to squash up dinner and bedtime if I'm not careful. One's going to overlap with the other.
Okay, well, I'll go on to the best-selling albums in the UK.
Yeah.
So we've got 1977, 87 and 97. Okay, now I'll give you a little clue. The 1977 one, it's the same group as the number one last last time we recorded. I just wonder if.
I can't remember that.
Wow, see how quickly you forget.
I can't remember. Is it ABBA?
It is ABBA.
Oh, right.
And I think you might have even.
Arrival.
Yeah, that's it. Good on you. See?
Great. There you go. See, my knowledge, my memory's better than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Okay, ABBA Arrival, 77.
Yeah.
Yep.
1987.
Well, you're going to have to give me a clue here.
Yeah, I am. This is a sort of world superstar. You struggled to remember him last time. A world superstar who's passed away now, but.
Oh, so it was.
He used to be part of a group, and then he was solo for most of his career. Where he.
Lionel Richie.
No, their brothers were in the band.
Oh, his brothers were in the band.
Yeah.
Did I?
You really struggled
last time.
You did, and you're struggling again.
It's Michael Jackson.
It is, yeah.
Right. 87. Was that Thriller?
No.
Oh, it was Thriller last time, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
It was 87.
It's probably the next best well-known one of his, I'd say.
I don't know. Which one is it?
Bad.
Oh, is it Bad?
It is bad, yeah.
Yeah, it's bad. It's quite bad that I couldn't remember that.
Like your memory, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
In 1997, we're getting Britpop here, and the groups that you...
Blur.
No, another one you don't like.
Oasis.
Exactly.
What's the Story, Morning Glory?
No.
Definitely Maybe.
No. See, for a group you don't like, you know enormous about the back.
How many words is it?
3.
I probably don't know it. Go on.
No, it's Be Here Now.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
You knew that.
Well, I'd heard of it, but I wouldn't have ever got it.
No.
Okay.
We look at the top division winners then in England.
All right.
Again, 76, 77. These are we're getting into the territory now with the same names.
Liverpool.
Yeah. Actually, the next one's not quite so normal. 86, 87 season.
Oh, so it's not Man United then. Oh, is it? No, hang on. 86, 87. Arsenal?
No.
86, Everton.
It was Everton, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Merseyside had a little bit of monopoly going on at that point.
It did, yeah.
And then 96, 97.
Got to be Man United, surely.
Yeah. So
I've actually done pretty well there, haven't I?
You've romped it, mate.
Yeah. I mean, there was no need to be curious, was there? I left no stone unturned.
Did you questioned it before you got there?
Yeah.
Apart from the Michael Jackson.
I mean, I assumed I had the knowledge.
You did.
And on this occasion, I was right.
Yeah. It needed no further exploration.
Clarification. All right.
Good. Thanks, mate. I'll let you get on with your tea before you get too grumpy.
Yeah, I got to go and cook now.
Yeah, okay, mate.
I'll let you go and do your vegan ready meal or whatever you're having.
Well,
What are you having?
No.
Oh.
No.
Are you making yourself a souffle?
No, probably not. No. It probably will be a ready meal, but I don't think I've got a vegan one in the fridge at the moment, which I'm a bit disappointed with that because I do like to have one in there.
Well, next time you go to the supermarket, be curious. Have a look.
Just curious to see if I can actually find one in Aldi's. Few and far between.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, mate. Take it easy.
Laters.
Be good. Bye.
Bye. Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.